Hello everybody, expecting that all of you are in good condition, in good health. Today we'll start our session on demand analysis. In demand analysis, today we'll discuss a concept of demand, law of demand, assumption of the law of demand, then explanation of the law of demand. Now in the explanation of the law of demand, we will discuss a demand schedule, demand curve, then market demand curve. These are the things we are going to discuss in our today's class. Now based on this, there are three questions I will mention you, which will address throughout this today's session. These questions are number one, what is demand? What I said, what is demand? The next question answer we'll try to get, we'll address in this session. What do you understand by law of demand? What do you understand by law of demand? Then not three, few questions are there, like fourth question also can be asked from this session. Like third question is, what are the assumptions? What are the assumptions of law of demand? This is third question. And number four question, explain the law of demand with demand schedule and demand curve. What I said, I am repeating the question. Explain the law of demand with the help of demand schedule and demand curve. This is fourth question. Then another question we may have from this session, explain market demand with market demand schedule and market demand curve, or we can say discuss the market demand with the help of market demand schedule and market demand curve. So I said there are 5 questions. So 5 questions gradually will address throughout this session. Now first we'll start with the demand, concept of demand or definition of demand. So here we will address the question, what is demand? Demand in economics is the consumer choice and ability to purchase a goods or service. This is basically the what demand is. See here what I said, I am repeating. Demand in economics is the consumer choice and ability to purchase a good or service. So here two terms is very important. One is consumer choice. Consumer choice means consumer willingness to purchase a good or service. Then second thing is ability to purchase. Ability to purchase is very vital, because in economics, if the consumer do not have the ability to purchase, then it cannot be considered as a demand. We'll go through example also. Now here what I said, like willingness to purchase and ability to purchase, these are the two vital terms you need to keep in mind in the demand definition. Now example, like a poor man have a desire to purchase a Mercedes car. Okay, now like a poor man wants to purchase a Mercedes car. Mercedes car is very costly car. This is basically made for the affluent class. Affluent class means higher class in our society. Those who are rich, for them Mercedes car are being made. So if a poor man have the willingness to purchase a Mercedes car, that cannot be considered as a demand in economics. Why? Because the person may not have the ability to purchase or money power. His willingness is not backed by purchase power. So that's why it cannot be considered as demand in economics. So again, I'll repeat the definition which I said earlier. Demand in economics is the consumer choice and ability to purchase goods or services. This is basically the demand. Next, we'll move to law of demand. Now, in the law of demand, can be expresses a relationship between the quantity demanded and its price. Or we can say the law of demand expresses a relationship between the quantity demanded and its price. Now this same, we are going to explain throughout this session from the different point of view. Now, according to Alfred Marshall is a very renowned economist. So according to him, law of demand is the amount demanded increases when a fall in price and diminishes when a rising price. What Marshall said, that the amount demanded increases when a fall in price is noticed, and it may reduce when there is an increase in the or rise in the price. Okay, now to make it very simple, we can say when price increase, demand decrease, and when price decrease, demand increase. This is basically the law of demand. Again, I am repeating, when price increases or price rise, demand decrease, and when price decrease or price reduces, that time demand increases. This is basically the law of demand. Now, these law of demand are basically based on some assumption. Assumption like, these are based on some inference. So we'll go through the our third topic of today's session, assumption of law of demand. Now, before starting the assumption, just I'll give you a brief about the assumption. The law of demand is conditional. What I said, the law of demand is conditional, and the condition is other things remaining the same. Other things remaining the same means price may increase, price may decrease, but rest other things will remain same. Price may increase, price may decrease, but the other things will remain same. This is basically the condition. So these other things which are assumed to be constant, these are, assumption. Now we'll go through some things, some point where we'll see that these things are assumed as constant. Okay, to study the law of demand. Now, first is taste, preference, fashion, habit of the consumer are constant. It is assumed that taste, preference, habit, fashion, okay, will remain constant. Then income of the consumer will remain same or constant. Then no changes in the future price. No changes in the future price. Then price of the related goods will remain same, or price of the related goods will be constant. Then no new substitute, no new alternative good will be available. Now we can say, moreover, the inverse price demand relationship holds good only when the above mentioned assumptions are satisfied. Now, what are the assumptions I have mentioned? If these are remain same, then law of demand can be studied and it can be satisfactory. Okay, now I said price demand inverse relation. Inverse relation means when price increase, demand decrease. When price decrease, demand increase. This is basically the price demand inverse relationship. Okay, so these are basically the assumption of the law of demand. Next, we'll move to the explanation of the law of demand. Now, in the explanation of the law of demand, we'll go through a PowerPoint presentation. I'll show you some slides. From those slides, we'll try to understand the explanation of the law of demand. Now, I hope this is visible to all today, because I am also seeing the screen. So what I was telling that now we'll go through the explanation of the law of demand. Now, to understand the explanation of the law of demand, we'll go through a small PowerPoint presentation. Now, in the explanation of the law of demand, you can see that there is a formula is written. Now I will explain it. Here D stand for demand, then equal to F. F is the function. Demand is the function of what I am telling. Demand is the function of what? Price. P stand for price, Y for income, then PR. Small PR, it represents or it indicates price of the related goods. Price of the related goods. Then T, test of the consumer. Okay, T is the test of the consumer. Now, if we see, just I am repeating again. Demand is the function of the price, income, price of the related goods, and test of the consumer. That basically is written in formula like D demand, then F is the function, P is the price of the good, Y income of the consumer, then PR price of the related goods. Price of the related goods like tea, coffee price, like same kind of variety of mango, orange. Then T, test of the consumer. Okay, so demand is the function of price, income, price of the related goods, then test of the consumer. Now here you see Y, PR, P is the having different color. Why? Because in the law of demand assumption we have considered these are as constant. Okay, income will be constant, price of the related goods will be constant, then test of the consumer, taste, habit, fashion will be same, will remain same, or these will be constant. Okay, so as we have assumed that the consumer income, then price of the related goods, test of the consumer will be constant or will remain same. So then we can say that demand is the function of price. What I said, the demand is the function of price. See below it is mentioned D equal to F within bracket P. So this is basically the law of demand. Demand is the function of price. Okay, so price increase, demand decrease, price decrease, demand increase. So that we are going to understand in detail. So demand is the function of price, we can say, because other things we are assuming that will remain same. Now to understand the law of demand, we'll go through the demand schedule, then demand curve. Now what the law of demand says, when price decrease, quantity demanded increases. Okay, so this is one demand schedule. So price of one commodity, say for example ₹6, and quantity demanded was 20 units. Okay, at ₹6, quantity demanded was 20 units. Okay, then when price reduces by ₹1 and at ₹5, the quantity demanded is 30 units. Then at ₹4, the quantity demanded as 40 units. Then last one is ₹3. So at ₹3, quantity demanded is 50 units. Okay, so what we are noticing here, as the price is going to be decreased or price is decreasing, quantity demand increases. Like ₹3, quantity demand is 50 units. At ₹4, quantity demand is 40 units. So as the price, increase, quantity demand decreases. Like if we start with the 3, quantity demand 50. Now if we consider price is increasing by 1, so at ₹4, quantity demand will reduce, that will be 40 units. Then at ₹5, more will reduce quantity demand, that is coming to the 30 units. Okay, so unit and price we are assuming. So this is basically the demand schedule, where we are seeing that when price decrease, quantity increase, and when price increase, quantity demand decrease. And where, okay, now we'll go through the demand curve. So this is basically very important. Okay, during the question answer session, I will expect some question from this. Now all of you understand first very carefully. Now this is basically the demand curve. Here, like this vertical axis, vertical line representing Y and O. This we can say Y axis. Y axis, you can see the cursor. Okay, vertical line having YO, or you can say Y axis. Y axis represent the price in rupee. Okay, Y axis represent the price in rupee, like ₹1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, then horizontal line, that is X axis, XO. Okay, represent the quantity of goods demanded at a given price. Now here, like 20 unit, 30 unit, 40 unit, and 50 unit, that we have seen in the demand schedule. Okay, now when the price is ₹3, quantity demand is 50. Then when the price is 4, this is C point, quantity demand is 40. Then when the price is 5, quantity demand is 30. Okay, then when the finally price is 6, quantity demanded reduces and it's come to 20 units. Now this is D and D dash line is the demand curve. D dash is the demand curve. Okay, and point A, this is basically the price demand point, where the price demand are matching, and this can be considered as a demand point. This is according to Marshall said this is the demand point when the price and demand in a particular point, like at ₹6, quantity demand is 20. So this is demand point. Then for ₹5, B point is the demand point. price demand relationship we can see. Then at rupees 4, quantity demanded is 40 units and the price demand point is C, demand point. Then same way, at rupees 3, quantity demand is 50 and the demand point is E, and D dash is the demand curve. So this is how basically we have tried to understand the demand schedule and the demand curve. And here very clearly it is being shown that when price increase, demand decrease, okay, and when price decrease, demand increases. This is basically the law of demand. Now next we are going to understand the market demand. What is market demand? Then explanation of the market demand with the help of market demand schedule and market demand curve. Now this is basically the market demand schedule. So before starting that, we'll try to understand the market demand. Market demand is basically the for a particular commodity or for a particular good, there are different consumer demands are there. Like if we assume that in a market there are 4 consumers, like here we have taken example of the 4 consumers. These are consumer. Okay, so in a market the consumer size is 4 and 4 consumers are have a demand for a particular product. Now when price increase, demand varies among these 4 consumers, and the total demand we can estimate. Okay, now market demand is the total current demand for a particular goods in the market. Now in a better way we will try to understand through the market demand schedule. Now here you can see the price 6, rupees 6, rupees 5, rupees 4, rupees 3. Now here you see the quantity demanded of the commodity. Quantity demanded of the commodity.
Sir.
Okay. Please, anything is there? You ask in the question answer session. Now UVXY. UVXY is the consumer. Consumer U, consumer V, consumer X, consumer Y. Okay, like consumer have name. Okay, so here in place of name we have considered consumer U, consumer V, consumer X, consumer Y. Okay, now at rupees 6, these 4 consumers have different quantity. Then consumer B have 6 at rupees 6. Then consumer X have 4 and consumer Y do not have any demand. Okay, 0 quantity demand. So this is basically representing the market demand. Market demand is total demand 20. Okay, market demand is 20 at given price 6. When the price is 6, if there are 4 consumers, then the total market demand will be 20. Okay, same way when the price is rupees 5, then quantity demanded by U, V, X, Y, you can see 12, 8, 7, 3 respectively, and total demand is 30. Total market demand is 30. See, as the price is decreasing, quantity demand increasing, total market demand also increasing. Now at rupees 4, quantity demand by the 4 consumer are 16, 12, 8, 4. Total market demand is 40. Now here you can see earlier at rupees 6, why we are not able to consume, or he was not willing to purchase. But when the price was decreasing, gradually he started purchasing. Now at ₹3, total quantity demanded by these 4 consumers, like consumer U 18 quantity demand, then B 16, X 9, Y 7, and this quantity demand at ₹3, and total market demand is 50. Okay, total market demand is 50. This is market demand schedule. Now we'll go through the market demand curve. Now this is market demand curve. Now, in the market demand curve, we'll go through consumer basis. Okay, so there were 4 consumers. Okay, first we'll go through the consumer basis, then we'll go through the total market demand curve also. Now 4 consumer, like U consumer. Okay, at ₹5, the quantity demand was 12. So this is basically the demand curve for consumer U. To identify it as unique, A is mentioned, DA. DA is for the U consumer. Then for consumer V, okay, at ₹, quantity demanded was 8. Okay, and the demand curve is DB. Then for consumer X, it is at ₹5, quantity demanded was 7. So DC is the demand curve for consumer X. Then at ₹5 for consumer Y. Consumer Y, quantity demanded was 3. It is not clear here, so that's why I have gone to the market demand schedule. At ₹5, quantity demand was 3. Okay, it is for consumer Y, and the demand curve is DD. Okay, DD is the demand curve. Now see, all other things will remain same, like x-axis representing price, y-axis vertical line, y-axis vertical line representing price, and the horizontal axis, horizontal line x-axis representing quantity in all cases. Now we'll go through the market demand, total market demand. Now if we see that at ₹5, consumer U plus B plus X plus Y, okay, and the total demand is 30. Total demand is 30. This is basically the market demand curve. D is the market demand curve, because here we have considered the all consumer demand. So at ₹5, the quantity demand will be 30, and D is the demand curve. So this is basically the total market demand curve. Okay, so now see, before finishing this session, I will summarize the whole session of today. Today first we have discussed demand, concept of demand. Then we have discussed law of demand. Then we have discussed assumption of the law of demand. Then we have started explanation of the law of demand. In explanation of the law of demand, we have covered demand schedule, demand curve. Then we have also covered market demand, then market demand schedule, market demand curve. So this was basically today's session. And initially I have said the question also, like what is demand, what do you understand by law of demand, what are the different assumptions of law of demand. which assumed to be constant. Then explain the law of demand with the help of demand schedule and demand curve. Then what is market demand? Explain the market demand with the help of market demand schedule and market demand curve. So again, I have said these all questions. And the next class from the demand analysis, a few more topics will cover in the next session. Thank you everybody for participating in today's session.